You just said ding ding. Sorry.
Yes.
The promotional thing's playing and we're on about ding ding.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening anymore.
Oh no, it's terrible. I'm terrible.
Sorry, we just gone off the rails a little bit there, didn't we?
Aye, that was my fault. Sorry.
It's fine, mate. Not to worry. Anyway, I'm just looking at the numbers, from the first 3 shows we've actually done. Have you actually seen them?
I've been keeping an eye on them, like, occasionally. Are they all doing really well? I know the first one did really well.
Yeah, so first one did 431, second one did 97, and the one we did last week we did 107. So this is, I don't know what's happening, but this is doing really, really well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
It is.
It's a great show.
It is, definitely. I think there's like 4 more. There's 4 more. Obviously, episode 4's today and stuff like that. And yeah, man, we're just going to knock this one out of the park and just see what happens. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Here we go. Roll the intro. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to WWE LFG Episode 4 review. I mean, Haney, this has been a really good show. I mean, what's your thoughts?
No, definitely. It's. I look forward to it. Coming on because it's something different and it's a sort of insight into the wrestling business that we may or may not see. I mean, I know some of it, a lot of it's not necessarily, but was it exactly what happens? Obviously, it's for reality TV and things like that, and a lot of work's probably done behind to make sure the wrestlers are prepared and things like that. But like we said before, Tough Enough was more of like guys coming in. Some of them had experience, some of them didn't, and they would do little challenges. This one's more along the lines of like, but was it? Yeah, there's been a bit of work done with them, but was it whether they're starting out or they've got experience? So basically, they're off to the races straight away. It's really good.
It is. I mean, like I said, the one thing that really got me invested in this was obviously there's coaches and stuff like that. I mean, we spoke about, I think it was episode 2. Do you know what I mean? You've got 4 of the biggest, talents you could probably think of, let's be honest.
No, definitely, and there's something that happens in this show. Obviously, we'll get to. It's particularly with Taker. You can tell, like, yeah, he's got what was it, a little bit more. What was it? How do you put it? Sway than the others because of his legendary status, I think.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's good fun.
It is, and stuff like that. So yeah, man, let's obviously get into it and stuff like that. So episode 4, the theme this week is obviously factions and stuff like that. I mean, when you think about it as a wrestler, do you know what I mean? Factions is obviously key for them.
Yeah, I mean the what was it? I mean, factions have been about like for the longest time in wrestling. A lot of people. What was it? You talk about some of the great factions like the Freebirds or the what was it? Or say what was it? Stuff with Jim Cornette or like the biggest one being the sort of Four Horsemen. You had the Heart Foundation and things like that were sort of from various incarnations until really the big one hit, and that was the NWO. And as we can see by the guests sort of superstars on the show, we've got 2 almost NWO originals.
Yeah, we've got the founder, which is obviously Eric Bischoff and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of people, I know I'm not fans of Eric Bischoff. I respect him a lot and stuff like that, but you can't deny really that idea with the NWO was obviously pivotal, obviously for that era.
Well, it changed the business. It revolutionised the business. It's almost became the mold for the WWE as well. And how that transition from being that sort of like everybody's got a gimmick, everybody's got a character, to being more sort of real. And what was it? I mean, the biggest sort of dismantling of the norm was when they turned Hogan. And that was all part of that stable, and that stable really has set the way for the next probably 10 years of wrestling. you know. What was it? And at various points, we've been in and out of big factions, sort of dominating and running wrestling ever since. So it's very important to the wrestling business to be able to have that mechanism to tell that story and have that group there that can sort of do it.
Yeah, exactly, and stuff like that. Now, like I said, I mean, the other person was obviously Sean Waltman. He was obviously part of the NWO, but also DX. I mean, two of the biggest from, again, that era.
No, yes, you know what was it? What was it? Yeah, I mean, obviously he was in the WWF before as the 1-2-3 kid. Really, really, from what you don't know if it's a narrative that they tell or if it is true. Like, but was it unofficially the biggest faction in wrestling was the Clique? You know, what was it? I know the Taker had a group as well, eventually,
Ministry
but
of Darkness.
yeah, yeah. But what was it? But what was it? The guys obviously went on to form the two biggest sort of factions at a time when it was NWO and DX. You know, what what a lot of people might not realize is the original name for DX was the Elite.
Is that actually true? I did not know that.
That is actually true. That what was it? It was a slip of the tongue with Brett calling them degenerates that changed a lot of it. But yeah, that's where the Young Bucks got the name for them, I suspect, because they're big rockers, super fans that they like to pretend they're not anymore, but they were, So, so it was a sort of in sort of thing, But that was the original name.
Interesting. That I've learned something new today.
Yeah, and it never really got used. I mean, if you remember, remind back. Remember, the original sort of DX was Rick Rude, and it had sort of China in there as well, So, and then there was Shawn, and there was Triple H, and then it was X Pac came back just after the night after Shawn lost the title and disappeared for 4 years. So what was it? You got that sort of famous sort of promo that ended up in a lawsuit as well because Sean implied that Kevin and Scott were ready to come back as well, So, yeah.
Okay.
Fun.
It is. So before obviously all the introductions and stuff like that, we obviously got an update with Shiloh Hull and stuff like that. Now, obviously we saw the injury last week and it was pretty bad, that actual kick, but I'm just glad that he's actually okay.
Yeah, so obviously they talked about it, and then obviously got to the point that they were sort of like clear to return. So that's always good. You don't want any wrestler to suffer a concussion,
No, absolutely not. So, but yeah, I mean, and also we got an update from BJ Ray and stuff like that. I've got to be honest, this whole thing with BJ Ray, this is the only part of the show which frustrating me because it's like he's injured, we get that and stuff like that, and it's just kind of like taking away a little bit of time. I'm not sure what you think.
Yeah, it's like if he's injured, get him to fuck.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, it's and there's a bit of shenanigans goes on. Maybe that's why they're keeping him around. I don't know. They've got to be really clever about it. From the perspective that for me, from the perspective that what was it? You've got to watch how they sort of present it. Is it real, or is it scripted? So what was it? It's sort of some of that little elements, that little feud. Is it bordering on stuff that he's written out, but they really really sort of big on him. So therefore they're keeping him about and sort of building stuff into it to allow him to be about. That's what reality television is, really, isn't it? You just never know.
Exactly, and stuff like that. Now, I'm just reading obviously the comments here and stuff like that. Now, Eric obviously says he's blessed and it's a pleasure to be here, but he also asks the kids who's old enough to remember the NWA. it's one thing to we actually remember that how young obviously these talent actually are.
Yeah, I mean, most of them are probably what was it, a post 2000, you know. So WCW, I mean, WCW was a year away from going out of business, you know. So there's a whole generation that only knew sort of WWE as the big the big promotion. There was nobody really anywhere else, unless you were like a big super fan and you got involved, or you know, you like TNA and things like that. And as much as you know, we love TNA in the UK. But it was massive. It never reached that level. Did really success. It was really successful, but it was never really going to compete with the WWE.
No, it never won. I think one of the biggest things when you said TNA and stuff like that is Eric was one of these people who asked them to go to Monday, do you know, like versus Raw, and I'm just like, what are you doing?
Mm. That was a very strange. I sort of remember that, and they brought out the Hardys, and then you had the WWE counteracted that by having Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart be in the ring for the first time since the Montreal Screwjob. So it was basically, yeah, you've did all this work, but we're just going to fucking nip it in the bud straight away, you know.
Do you remember the ratings for that? I feel like they didn't get above 1 million. I can't remember
No,
exactly what it was.
I can't remember the exact number, but it was well below what they were doing. You know, it was because they were doing really solid numbers in the States. And that was sort of the start of the demise of was it TNA, you know, because they brought in Hogan and all that. But the years before that was amazing. You had the sort of main event mafia, you know, and you had the run with AJ, and cool things sort of happened. You got the sort of what was it, the Flair sort of it was AJ Styles thing, and the Flair and sort of Jay Lethal thing, you know, around that sort of time as well. But yeah, there was some good stuff, but it just never really got over that sort of uh, over, you know, with the crowd. What a lot of people probably don't realise, I mean, people probably know, but a lot of people don't realise is one of the reasons TNA was so popular in the UK was, well, obviously it was on a good channel to see, was the fact that it was filmed at Universal Studios, and it tended to be all the Brits that were in the front, that were in the arena watching the game, watching the show. If you actually watch a lot of the like original TNAs, but if you look at the crowd, it's people in British football jerseys and things like that in the crowd. You know, what was it called? All over there, all over in Florida for their holiday. Sorry, I'm digressing there. Another pointless fact.
No, it's
But, yeah.
absolutely fine. No, but I think the thing is really Hogan and TNA. That's a whole episode in itself, to be
Oh
honest.
yeah, you could do you definitely, you know.
Yeah, I think we probably might do that later down the line. But of course, we're talking about WWE LFG, so we're getting 8-person tag matches tonight. So it's Team Booker versus Team Bubba, Team Mickey versus Team Taker, and stuff like that. Now, of course, Eric and Waltman will be part of the judging. Eric tells the kids to go look up the first NWO vignette, which I remember watching that going, wow, that is really, pretty interesting.
Yeah. No,
And then,
no, definitely. Do you know that's the very first Nitro I ever seen live? Was the night after Bash at the Beach. I hadn't even seen Bash at the Beach at that point. What was it called? Because what was it? What was it? I had what was it? I think it was cable. It was one or the other at the time. I switched to cable. I couldn't remember. But anyway, my friend, he actually got Sky, and that had the TNT movies on it, and we were flicking through it, and we seen the wrestling was coming on WCW, and says, "Oh, we'll check this out," you know, and that's what it was. You know, it was about a week later. It was at that point. It was about a week behind. You know. But and it was always on the Friday, and it was, and eventually it came to cable, and you could watch both. You know, obviously I'm digressing again, but absolutely a sort of pivotal moment in wrestling, and it's a sort of template for what you should be doing in terms of storytelling. You know, but was it and how to cut a promo. Obviously, bit of context there is that somebody like Hogan can do that because he's got that legacy and that storytelling already there to be able to tell that story. But it's just fantastic. Great memories.
Absolutely. So we obviously got the build up to the first tag match, and of course, Bubba's team kind of went down the Dudley type route. And at first, I was like, "Where they're going with this?" But I've got to be honest, from an entertaining point of view, I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, what was it? The Misfit Dudleys or some fucking thing like that, you know?
Originally, they went for farmers, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, it was very interesting. You obviously had that new guy, Cutler, you know, is it Cutler James?
It is, yes.
Yes, but was it and sort of Bubba was talking to him and sort of says he sort of lacked a bit of personality, you know, so that's where sort of Cutler made that sort of video package sort of around the sort of Misfit family, and he sort of channeled that sort of Dudley vibe, you know, because the Dudleys were a bit of that misfits, weren't they? So
It
you
was
know, and
definitely
obviously
so.
there was some funny stuff going on in that as well.
Yeah, and then of course Booker T went for the new era thing with a Matrix style thing. I've got to be honest, I love the outfits for this.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, yeah, it's all about like presentation. But Booker T was always like that. You know, you always had like cool outfits. You know, where he was, what was it? What was it? He was Booker T and it was in Harlem Heat, or he was what was it? GI Bro, or what was it? He was King Booker. You know,
Yes,
yeah.
people like that. Some people don't.
I think it was his best run. To be honest, King Booker.
Yeah, definitely entertaining. But we spoke about it earlier and stuff like that. Now the build up to this match caused a little bit of a temper thing, which when we think about it, you've got 8 elements and stuff like that. You've got King Booker, Booker T, whatever you want to call him. Then you've got Bubba Ray and stuff like that. Now, from a tag team point of view, I mean, Bubba Ray's really got the thing with that. Do you know what I mean? Multiple tag team champion. He's probably got the best out of anybody.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? If you want to talk about tag team wrestling, what was it? You don't get much better than Bubba Ray, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, so it's certainly it, it's certainly sort of what was it called? Interesting to sort of see what was it that dynamic and see that conflict as well, which I'm sure we'll talk about. You know, but what was it? Bubba's got a very set way of doing things. You know. He doesn't coach the way I think he would. I don't know if that's just I don't know if like what was it? If it's just for television, he's toned it down. But I would have got like what was it? Like I always got the impression like if you were being coached by Bubba Ray, he'd be one of these sort of old school bastard coaches, you know, that really gave you a bollocking, you know. So, what was it? It's quite interesting to see that dynamic with him, you know, because. What was it? People see Bubba as a bit of a grump, you know, but he's really got an eye for the business, and he's so intelligent to the business as well.
Absolutely. So, of course, the first match was the next era, which is Team Booker versus the Dudley, which is Team Bubba. There was some
Yep.
good bits in that. Do you know what I mean? I love the to stare down with the two big guys and stuff like that. But I felt like as a unit, the Dudley team just wasn't as good as the next era.
No, what was it? You know, and I think part of that is down to like people that are not tag teamed to before together, you know, and try to get them to sort of gel. You know, that's always sort of hard, and that can play a part in what goes on. You know, it's about having that chemistry, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely
Do
is
you,
and stuff like that.
do you disagree?
No, you said the chemistry thing was obviously on point
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Do you know what I mean? The chemistry thing. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you like said you got all these different elements, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely in sort of what was it? You had that sort of what was it? It was really interesting because Booker's team were the one that were sort of playing that sort of heelish faction, you know, and you always think of Bubba Ray as the sort of bad guy, you know. You know, so what was it? It was really interesting to see the clash there as well, you know, and the dynamic between the two. Again, you don't know you you might say that some of that's put on for what was it, television, but I genuinely think like you've got two great minds, different styles as well. Obviously, Booker's more of a sort of southern sort of style of wrestling. I've obviously been from Texas and things like that, so you can sort of see that sort of coming out, and it's really fascinating to see how creative these guys are. You know, what was it? What was it? Because for good or bad, Vince gets all the credit for a lot of the stuff that goes on with the wrestlers when these guys were about in their prime. But you can sort of tell a lot of the work was done by them, and it was sort of tweaked by Vince, you know. And Vince got all the credit for it, unfortunately.
Exactly. So
Oh, that's two bad examples to say that by though, because obviously they had careers out with WWE that are standout.
yeah, absolutely. So the Dudleys obviously got the win in 8 minutes 17. Now there's a talking point during this match which we've not actually talked about, and obviously the judges talked about it after as well, is the incident with BJ Ray decided to sit at side Eric Bischoff, and I'm just like, what? When I watch this as a fan, I'm like, what are you doing? And then, of course, Bully Ray reacted the way he does. What did you think of this whole situation?
Yeah, I mean, what was it? He's hanging about like a bit of a sore thumb, isn't he? You know, what was it? I mean, has it been just somebody been in his ear to say like, yeah, go out there and antagonize and do tough shit, you know? Or does he know that he's liked and he's trying to push it as far as he can get, you know?
Yeah, it's just one of those situations where you're watching it. It's like, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? If he's injured, like you said earlier, cut him loose.
Yeah, you know, what was it? But then he's drama, you know. So dramas at the end of the day, you make a TV show, you
Yeah,
know.
which is true.
So you need that sort of drama, you know. Yeah, so that is what it is. But
No,
yeah,
absolutely.
I think they obviously quite high on BJ. I think they all the coaches are, you know, and that's why they're probably keeping him about, you know. So very interesting.
Absolutely.
Obviously,
So
you've got sort of coaches clashing ringside, you know, as well, which adds a lot of drama to it.
it absolutely does make you spot on and stuff like that. So, of course, next was Team Taker versus Team Mickey. So, Team Mickey wants like a unique, different, and fun thing. So, they come up with the pinnacle of performance, which is pop, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's almost like what was it? You know, what was it? Like, yeah, your sort of typical babyface, sort of like, let's go. You know, not quite spirit, but spirit quad. You know, a bit like 1980s. But was it Erika Johnson, John Fashanu, Gladiators? You know.
Yeah. And then, of course,
Yeah.
Team Taker goes with Slayer. I kind of like this name, Slayer of Souls.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That you could see like Taker like leading this faction, you know, like as a manager, you know. Where did they fucking find Billy from? That girl was insane, you know.
I've no
Uh,
idea.
yeah, what was it? You know, where did she come from?
I have no idea. Even I don't know now.
It's like
uh,
yeah, I'm trying to remember because it was the other day I watched it, you know.
I only watched it yesterday, and even I can't remember.
Yeah, but she's obviously friends with one of the girls, but she looks an absolute unit, absolute beast. Why, you know, why, like, yeah, you know, and she was awesome, you know, I thought, but anyways, we'll get to that.
Absolutely. So, of course, this match really, it's got the feel of like good versus evil.
Yes, you know, what was it, what was it called? You've obviously got, like, the ones that have got the sort of, portraying that sort of dark sort of character, and then on the flip side, you've got these guys that are sort of like super athletic, you know, so it's very interesting to see the dynamic of the match.
Absolutely. So it's Pinnacle of Performance, Team Mickey versus Slayer of Souls, Team Taker. Pinnacle vignette is pretty sweet, and it makes them look like American gladiators with the mixed superheroes. Undertaker
Yeah,
says the following: "I hate them already," which is kind of like expected, to be honest.
yeah. It's but I mean, I think that's what Mickey was going for. But it's almost bit. That's why I sort of said Spirit Quad, because it's a bit bubblegum, isn't it? You know.
But when you think
Um,
about it with Mickey, though, she's got that, bubbly type, personality.
no, definitely with that twisted sort of side to her. I love Mickey James.
Absolutely, and of course, the Undertaker like vignette type thing. It's creepy. What, I mean, what did we really expect?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously well done a couple of favors for that. It's like, yeah, I want to win this. You screwed me over with my wife last week, so what was it? Let's spend a bit of budget on this.
Yeah. Now, of course, two factions obviously go over the match. Chris Riley wants to finish the match right this time after the injury issue in his last match with Shiloh and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I kind of like that. He knows obviously that injuries happen and stuff like that, but he wants to make amends and stuff like that.
yeah. What was it? And but again, what was it? We go back to what was said last week. I think it was Mickey James that said it, and it's a sort of cliched, is like wrestlers are their own worst enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes. What was it? I suppose it's different in a competition when you're competing, you know. But it's hard, So what was it called? But obviously he was cleared, so it was fine. And I do think that guy's got a great look and a great gimmick, So hopefully, you know, all's well there,
Absolutely. So, what did you think to this match overall? Because I mean, I liked the match, but for me personally, I preferred the first one.
What the Taker Mickey James match?
Yes. What did you reckon to it overall from your point of view?
Um, it was a bit chaotic at the end, wasn't it? You
Mm-hmm.
know. What was it? Sorry, I've got notes down. But I wrote down. What was it? What was it? And then sort of Jadwood sort of got the win over that Shiloh for the win. So it was what was it called? I would agree with you. The first match was better than this match. What was it? Thinking back on it, what was it? What was it? Obviously, you had that Bailey. Was it Bailey Humphries? Very,
Yes.
very strange. What was I think Undertaker's seen a lot of potential in Bailey. I'm sure if she ever made it, she won't be called Bailey though.
No, not at all. Stuff like that. So, after both matches, Eric gives the point, obviously, on entertainment, and Waltman gives the point for in-ring work. Eric
Yeah, well,
puts over.
Eric really bigged up the sort of promo and how what was it? He talked about how the characters were over, without even coming out to the ring. So what was it? That was one of the reasons why I think Eric gave him the Undertaker the point for presentation.
Yeah, and when you think about the presentation Undertaker thing, I actually enjoyed that one at Royal Forum, so I have to agree with that one.
No, definitely, it was awesome. It was a
And of
cool
course, the
promo.
other point went to obviously Team Booker and stuff like that. But I think Bully was a bit pissed because he obviously put the match together and stuff like that.
Yeah, but was it? I think was it Sean gave it to Team Booker because, but was it because of the in-ring performances? So it's very interesting. So obviously Booker's now in the lead, and Team Bubba has got nothing yet. So it's very interesting. You've got sort of 4 episodes to go. What was it? Unless you do something different with the points, then Booker could have this in the bag by next week, really.
I thought made double points at one point.
Yeah, do you think?
I think somewhere along that, like these next couple of weeks, there's got to be double points.
Yeah. I don't think Bubba will finish on 0. I do think Bubba's got a good sort of team of guys there, so it will be sort of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm a massive fan of obviously Danny Sikelski. That's probably my obviously favorite on the female side. I've got to be honest. I like what's the tall guy from Team Bubba, the one who said he had no Roxanne Perez's partner.
But
Who was
Cutler.
it? That's the one. And yeah, I'm a massive fan of Cutler as well. That's probably my two at the minute.
Yeah. I mean, for what was it? For me, that was what was it? For me, the the sort of big points is like what was it? That Xena's really improving.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what was it called? You've got the sort of situation as you say with Cutler with that hot tag, and then what was it? You've got Holyfield debuting as well. You know, so what was it? It's always what was it? You know, well, these guys are super competitive, so it's always going to be interesting to sort of see. But you can sort of see, you can start to see sort of people who you think are going to be about, you know, after this, and how the characters are sort of formed. Yes.
I'm looking forward to next week. Do you know what I mean? Because the key thing is now is a big person, which we know was going to be on the show. We just didn't know when. And of course, it's CM Punk. He's on the show next week. And it's a thing that's just a common theme we've obviously talked about is promos.
Yeah. What was it? With promos, you either got it or you haven't, you know, and they're bringing in one of the best, CM Punk, next week. What was it? Does it sort of do promo stuff? But it's something you can't. It's something you can't like. You can teach part of it, but I think it's something you can't fully teach. You've either got it or you haven't. You know, you've got it in you or you haven't, and that's not a bad thing either. Because if you've not got it, you've got means a way around it. You know, but certainly with the guys like CM Punk who've got that natural delivery, what was it? That's why his promos stand out because he's just phenomenal at it.
Exactly. And the key thing is as well is obviously we saw the trailers on the build up to this show. I'm still wondering how Gunther's going to be playing into this.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's going to be a sort of interesting sort of technical week. Maybe there's a submission match or something like that. You know, or
Like
physicality.
like the technical aspect.
Yeah.
Could be. I mean, you kind of on point there.
Yeah.
Who
Gunther's
knows?
awesome.
Yeah, we do. I think we'll know. We'll tune in obviously Sunday. We obviously watch it on the Friday, so people can obviously watch it as well. So yeah, I mean, Henny, ready for episode 5 next week?
Yep, looking forward to it. You know, as you say, there's what was it? There's lots to look forward to. We've got CM Punk coming in next week. You know, what was it?
Gunther's at one point.
Gunther's at one point. You know, I mean, you're starting to see a bit of tension between Bubba Ray and Booker T. You know, it's awesome.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. The Magic Wrestling, of course, is back tomorrow as we're looking at the champions of the UK. So, we've picked obviously a selection of champions throughout the UK. Jim, obviously, my good friends are going to be on the show. Haney, you're going to be on the show as well, right?
Yep, I'll be there. You know.
Of course, we're going to talk about us, like I said, selection of champions and stuff like that. Loads of shows. Fans obviously want to check us out. The Magic of Wrestling on YouTube. Do you know what I mean? Support the show. Get in touch because we always like to get people involved, right, Haney?
Most definitely, it's. I mean, it's all about getting different perspectives and talking about it, and but was it getting the opinions of and experiences of other people.
Exactly. So, thanks for watching, guys. See you all tomorrow.